All right, now that I'm waiting for parts on Pepper, again, waiting for more parts for that 20-year-old car, I'm gonna work on CK today. And this is a continuation of my previous video that, I have a lot of things that I need to do around flushing the fluids, sampling the oil, sending it out. And there's a couple of cosmetic things that I wanna take care of first. First and foremost, when I showed you the video, I had already taken off the raccoon eyes that the previous owner had put on the car. There's a small group of 996 owners out there. It's not the majority, but there are a small group of 996 owners that don't embrace the fried egg. So they'll put headlight covers on it. And that's what they did here. So take a look at what I did to get the headlight covers off this car. So I think the best way to handle this is just to use my plastic trim tabs. On the other one, it's covered in RTV, basically, is what it is. It smells like RTV. It looks like RTV, so it's RTV. So I can't really put any heat to it because it's not going to really do anything. It's just going to be a matter of prying it. And it didn't leave any damage on the plastic headlight, thank goodness. But you can see that they did do a clear PPF on the headlights. It looks like they're going to have to be redone. No big deal. And but this will come off pretty easily, and then I can use a plastic razor blade, believe it or not, to take off that silicone and make it look like the other one. Let's do it, man. Just come in here, and you don't want to try to pry it. What I found that if you just kind of slide your blade underneath and it'll start pulling away from the headlight, and then you can just kind of work it away around, all the way around, and then do it from the inside to get this area, because there's probably a bunch of RTV in this area here and here, like it was on the other one. But let me use both hands so I can knock this out real fast, and then we'll see it when it's done. All right, and that's what it looks like when it comes right off. And it came off, luckily, in one big piece. I think it's some kind of fiberglass, fiberboard, some kind of compound like that. You can see the fibers in it. So it's not a bad thing. It's okay. It lasted this long. I think these were put on early on during the days when the 996 headlights were reviled. Now they're adored. They better be. All right, so I'm going to get my plastic razor blade, and we're just going to skim coat the top of this thing, and it should come right off. Let's take a look. So yeah, it just comes right off. When the edge kind of curls over, I flip it over and try the other side. It gives me a sharp little edge, and I can scrape it. Then I'll flip it back and do the same thing. I'm going to take this all the way around. Let's do it. All right, and there. See, it cleaned up real good. I haven't even used any chemicals yet to get some of the adhesive film off, but you can see it came off in really easy strips here. This razor blade did the trick. You don't want to be too aggressive, right? Because this is plastic, it's not glass. Luckily, there's a PPF, but unluckily, the PPF is coming off, so this will have to be redone. But nevertheless, I'm going to use a Goo Gone to take this adhesive off. It worked really well on the first headlight. I'd recommend using this and not goof off, because the goof off is very toxic. It has very strong chemicals and could melt the plastic, so be very careful to take the paint off. This does not, it's just a citrus base. So let's give it a go. We'll clean this up, and I'll put it back in the car, and we'll see what it looks like outside in the sun. All right, and there, the headlights are done. Wait, what? Okay, just making sure you're paying attention, because clearly that's not the blue one. Where's the other one? Ah, there it is. Wow. Look at that. Come on, guys. What is not to love about that look and that color, yo? Whew, so much to discuss about this car and so many videos to make about this car. This is a great first step. Look how beautiful this looks. I'm gonna get this thing out in the sun, like I said. Yeah, so as you can see, it's not a big deal. It looks like they used RTV to get that off. And I think, honestly, I think it looks a lot better. I don't have to convince myself. And I can certainly try to convince you folks out there who hide the fried egg look. And the only thing I can tell you on that is it'll never be a 997. Embrace the fried egg. And I promise you, in 10 to 20 years, these cars are going to be super collectible because they don't look like the rest of the 911 lineup. And there will never be another 911 like this. But because of the issues with the fiasco in the early 2000s, Porsche's really stuck in their ways, and they're going to stick with the oval headlight till kingdom come. I don't know, till whenever. But anyway, all right, so what's next? Well, then I want to get that spoiler down, right? So the original 996 Turbo had a hydraulically driven spoiler that would go up and down at a certain speed. I believe it was 75 miles an hour. Those things are notorious for failing. So what this previous owner did is they deleted the whole mechanism and just made it permanent. Kind of good, kind of bad. The bad being that you have to manually adjust your spoiler and where you want it. This car is never going to need the type of downforce that spoiler is going to produce. This car is not a daily, but it is a weekend warrior. It'll go out on the track every now and then, but it doesn't need that kind of downforce. So anyway, let's take a look at that and see what it's going to take to lower that erect spoiler there. Maybe some granny porn? I don't know. Let's see. The spoiler here and see what it's going to take. All right, so you can see it's not much to it. What I'm concerned with is that if I ever wanted to modify this back and maybe do the aftermarket solution that ECS sells, which is electronic, I need power. I need to find the wiring harness because it looks like they deleted it, or at least cut it. Somewhere. So we'll have to track that down. But yeah, so it's really easy. It looks like they're just thumb screws that hold this thing in place, and then I can lower it. Interesting. Here as well. This one over here is loose. I think this one, yeah, that one's loose. Okay, so we'll get that out. But man, I just want to appreciate this interior. And yes, I know I need to get a wire or a light here. It looks like it can be done. I don't feel the wire, but yes, I want to get that out and put an LED light in there. The car looks great, man. I mean, I can't find anything wrong with it right now, but truth be told, I haven't really taken the car up, and that's what I'm going to do now. But I really want to get the erect spoiler down first, though. So I'm just gonna use a tool, nothing too aggressive. These are just thumb screws, for goodness sake. And it looks like they've been loosened before. Now let's see what I can do now. Yep, all loose. And what I'm guessing here is that there are two that actually go through. That's why they're all the way in. So I'm gonna loosen that up. But what I wanna do first is make sure this thing doesn't fall out. And if it does, I'm gonna make sure it doesn't damage the car. Let me take care of that. What I want to do is just lower this. That looks pretty good. So before I lock it in, obviously I want to make sure that it's level. Now it's good. Yeah, I like that. That right there is about 30 millimeters. Who dares with me? Like an old grumpy old man.
Get off my lawn.
Clearing out its phlegmy throat. All right, now that I got planks of wood and brick and whatever scraps I can find around the house to get the height up, I think I'm ready to finally get it up in the air. Let's see if this works. It still won't go up. So I gotta take the hockey pucks out.
What's the matter with you? I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Yeah, so as you saw, one side was going up and the other side wasn't, because that side had bricks, so it was raised up enough to keep lifting. This side, not. So back to the jack. Here we go. I gotta put bricks under there, not wood planks. All right, now that the bricks are down, let's get this thing up in the air, man. What a hassle. All right. Come on. There it goes again. All right, hockey pucks out. It should not have taken that long to lift that car. But it is what it is. All right, I'm using a wide angle lens because I'm under the car and I don't have it at the maximum height that I could get it at, because I really don't need to. But yeah, what you're looking at here is a really dirty Metzger engine. But it's clean in the sense where, you know, there's no fresh leaking going on anywhere. Just a lot of buildup. But Seth, my friend from Dry Ice Detailing Pros, if you're watching this, I know you're probably salivating going, oh, I could clean all of this. And to be honest, I really want it clean because Pepper looks cleaner than this right now. And that's saying something, really. But while I'm under here, let's take a look. So yeah, look at those Onland coilovers, man. And look at this linkage here. So everything that this guy said that he did. And it's pretty impressive. So I'm going to have to teach myself how to dial in the suspension so I can make it a little bit softer. That right there is a different bushing, and I think it makes it adjustable. The tie rods are different. This linkage here is different. Some shoddy work here on the caliper. Not sure why they would do that. I don't think Phil did that, but regardless, look, it looks terrible. But nobody sees it. Even the turbos have the same problem with the linkage popping off, because this is a official TSB repair right there, using a zip tie to hold it in place. And it's unfortunate that we can't see the actual shifting mechanism because it's really nice. It's made of aerospace aluminum or whatever you call that. And he spent a lot of money on it. But yeah, man, this looks really good. Really, really good. Look at that. Beautiful spring. Yeah, I'm going to be able to soften this up real good. Okay, so besides giving you guys a tour of what's under here, because some of you are familiar with the M96 engine, but not the Metzger M96 engine. And that's what this is. So the turbos are right here. 1, 2, 2 over there. These look like OEM manifolds. These are not headers. Not that you really need a header here. I mean, look, it's small. I believe he did say that these were, the ports were opened up a little bit on the outlets, I think. The turbos, I can't see what they are, but they are indeed there. They should be K24s. Yeah, there they are. I think that's what I see right there is a 24. So I also got to drain the fluids in this car. And there's several places that you drain oil. There's the drain plug here. There's another one somewhere else, I think right there. And then to drain the turbos, there's a little bit in each one of the turbos that needs to be drained out as well. So I'm learning all about that. And then I'm kind of crawling around under here because it does look like there's some kind of panel missing right here. You can see that, and I ought to know because I put one on. Pepper over there, which is nice and clean. Look, she's all just sitting there. She has a fuel sender issue, so I can't take her out and about. CVs look fine. And it goes on that way. And oh, look at that. There's a panel missing or broken right there. Wow, okay. All the other panels look like they're in place. I'm going to keep going down. Oh, man. Let's see if we can see this. You see that dent right there in that pipe? That's what happens when somebody doesn't know where to lift. It doesn't look like it's fully kinked, but that's the same exact pipe that's kinked on Pepper. That's a $200 pipe. Those are Black Widow spider webs. I recognize those. Look a little dirty. All right, can we just take a moment and appreciate the fact that just about every panel is on here and every bit of hardware is attached, holding this thing up. So that goes to show that this car was really loved and maintained. Hell, even the stuff that was damaged, it was stitched up to hold it together. And then, of course, when we're talking about suspension, I mean, look at that. Crazy, man. So I don't even know the first thing about doing any type of tuning and suspension. I guess I got to learn, huh? And then look at the steering rack here. What the hell is that? What does that say? Let me see if I can get up in there another way. RSS. Yeah, some kind of steering rack linkage there. What the hell? Huh. I gotta get these wheels off. That just goes to show that nobody's perfect, right? Because if the calipers were painted beautifully, I would think that my doppelganger is running around somewhere on this planet. But clearly he's not, because I would never do that. That is just the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And again, I don't think that was the previous owner's doing. I think this was the previous owner. But the calipers are yellow out of the factory, man. What the hell? I don't know. We'll see. One of those days where things just don't go your way, no matter how hard you try. Besides the hour-and-a-half fiasco and trying to get the quick jacks to work with this car because it's so low to the ground, I forgot to warm the engine up before I start the oil draining process. So now I got to sit in my garage with the engine running for a while because it's already jacked up. I'm not taking it down. So we're just going to deal with it. Joy. All right, so I'm going to start by cracking these things loose, starting with the steel one down there. And that's a 27. Hey, there. Oh. Man, that comes out fast. Damn. Okay. The oil looks and smells good. So there's that. My oil sample. All right, now this one has a tendency to squirt out. So I gotta watch out for that. Oh, that was anticlimactic. I like it that way. Okay, next up is to drain the turbos. Okay, so there's a 8 mil on this turbo here. And all of these have crush washers. Some are different. Some are aluminum, some are copper. It all depends on the metal that you're working with. So be sure you have both. There's not a whole lot in these. Okay, like I said, I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. And since I don't know much about this car, I'm going to inspect that filter. I'm going to break it apart and take a look at, I'm going to spread it open and check it out to make sure there's no metal in it. All right, let's take a look. Oof. That is one dirty filter. Doing its job. All right, we're going to put this on the workbench and see what it looks like. And I'm absolutely going to be using AMSOIL here. Yes, I am an AMSOIL representative, so I am a little biased on this. But I do believe in their product, and their product is fantastic. And you can see that it meets all of the Porsche requirements. SAE 5W40 is all you need, and you're going to need 8.5 quarts of this stuff. But if you're interested in learning more about AMSOIL and the discount that I can get you, because I can get you a 25% discount on this oil, and they have all kinds of different things like additives, octane boosters, cleaning supplies. You should really check them out. I'll put a link down in my description below, and if you click on that link and you decide to buy some of their oil, the Yogi's Garage gets a kickback on that, which helps fund these projects. So consider it, think about it, then go do it. Okay, you got to replace all of the crush washers on this car, but I need to be aware that there's different kinds, right? This is a copper one, and this is an aluminum one. So it all depends on the metal that you're binding to, and it looks like this one here is the one that goes to the oil sump, and it uses copper because it's connecting to steel. You're tightening up against that steel fitting. Now the turbos use aluminum. There's one missing here. I think I have to go back and look for it. And then the one on the crankcase as well is aluminum. So you got to have a variety of them in order to replace them correctly. All right, there's one thing to note about putting the crush washers back in on the turbos, and a special thanks to Heidi and Franny's Garage for pointing this out. But the little crush washer needs to go inside. If it overlaps, then you don't have a good seat. So you need to make sure that you do that when you tighten these up. It should look like that and torque it up. It should be 22 foot-pounds, I believe. All right, you're looking at about 8.5 quarts here to get this thing filled up. And that's not a precise number. It all depends on how much oil you can get out of your car. Case in point, Pepper over there, same amount, but it could fit 10, 11 quarts in there because it was a new engine. So, well, new built engine. So that's
something you need to take into consideration when you're measuring. All right, so I got this in. I'm gonna start the car now, and just to get the oil pumping. All right, let's do this, man. So exciting. Pressure builds really quickly. Beautiful. Look at that. Car's still a little warm. Now what you would want to do, if the car had been sitting for a long time, you'd want to pull the fuse on the fuel pump, start the car, let it burn its gas out of there, and then turn the car over a couple times like if you were starting the engine for the first time after a rebuild. That way you can build oil pressure. I wasn't all that worried about that because this car has a ton of oil in it already, and the pressure would come up really quickly because the car hadn't been sitting very long. All right, this looks good. Check this off the list. Woo! All right, now that the oil has been changed, pressure's been verified, everything looks good, it's now time to do the transmission fluid. But as part of the full fluid flush, obviously it doesn't stop there. I say full, but I'm not gonna do the coolant. The coolant looks fine, power steering looks fine. I'm talking about the power unit, so we're talking oil and transmission fluid. And this is what I'm gonna use. I'm going to use AMSOIL Severe Gear 75 weight by 90. Really easy to use because these things have a great little feature with the squeeze bottle, and it works perfectly. And if you've ever done the transmission fluid on one of these cars, you know that it's not hard, but the fill is on the side of the transmission, so you need to come up with a concoction or some way of getting it in there. And here we are. Easy pack, less mess. Let's fix it. To accomplish this task is quite simple. You need a 10mm hex and maybe some PB blaster or something to loosen up those bolts underneath. And that's it. And something to catch the fluid, of course. All right, so let's take you underneath and show you what it's all about.
All right, what I'm hoping for is that this thing picks me up pretty well. All right, there are two plugs here. And a lesson learned is a lesson shared as far as I'm concerned. And the lesson learned is this: you should always break the fill plug first before you break the drain plug. All right, think about that for a second. If for some reason it's stripped out, or for some reason you just can't bust that loose, but you could do the drain, well, you can't put any more fluid in it. So let's make sure that you can fill it back up before you try to bust that nut. See? There might be a good chance that it won't come loose. And I'm using my breaker bar. I may have to go on the other side. Yeah. There we go. Got it. Okay. Yo, it worked. Okay, so now you know you can fill it back up. So let's drain it. And you want to make sure you're fully seated on that thing. Otherwise you'll strip it out. Oh, see, that was way easier. Okay. Let's drain it without getting me all dirty. Oh man, that transmission fluid looks brand new. Well, if you can see this right here, this is a magnetic plug and all the little metal shavings. So let's go take a look at that on the bench while this is draining. I'm gonna let this drain for a while. It won't take long, but the fluid's cold, right? So you wanna try to get as much out of it as possible, but I'm really not gonna worry about it. I mean, look at that fluid, it looks perfect.
Wow, what a relief to know that that transmission fluid was that pristine. Granted, the car only has 69,000 miles, as opposed to Pepper over here, who has 102,000 miles. So wait until I show you the fluid out of that transmission. I'm hoping it's fine, but hey, everything else on that car was a disaster. So I'm not going to be surprised if it comes out looking like chocolate milk or something. I hope it doesn't. But anyway, let's take a look at this drain plug. So this drain plug has a whole bunch of little shavings in it, but the good news is that it's a bunch of little shavings. And that's typical normal wear on these transmissions. So I'm not going to sweat it. And if I can just rub my finger on it, yeah. I mean, the magnet is right there. And this is the ferrous material. Minor, I think. What do you think? Let me know below. Man, that stuff was nasty. It turned my gloves black. I used some brake cleaner to get it off, but you can see all of the handprints. So whatever that ferrous metal is very fine, because like basically it's a metal powder. But anyway, this thing obviously has a crush washer that we need to replace. I went over this a few moments ago on getting yourself a kit like this. I'll put an affiliate link below that helps the channel. So if you do need crush washers, I need a couple of pennies of commission, and I'm offering you this. So be sure to take a look at that and everything else on my affiliates list, because there's some good stuff in there that I use on a daily basis or I swear by. So let me find the crush washer. I'm pretty certain there'll be a crush washer for the fill plug as well. That's what I love about Porsche. They standardize pretty much on everything, and they standardize on the crush washers. You can see that I've already put some paint up here to remind me that this is from, these crush washers will work on the twin turbos, and then this is for oil, and now it's for transmission. So I'll put O and T there, and I'll know every time I drain it, that's the size.
All right. That's pretty close to being completely empty. So I'm going to go ahead and torque that down. That's 22. Seems kind of... And by the way, there's no crush washer on that fill plug, just on the drain plug. 30 Newton meters. 22 foot-pounds is what it's asking for. Yeah, so the trick about filling is you just fill it up until it starts trickling out. And then you know at that point that you're full. And then you can plug it up. So that's what we're going to do. That cross member is kind of in the way. So I need to be careful about that. All right, and in. I can hear it going in. It's going. So you just squeeze it in. Look how easy that is, man. Not bad, right? Who needs a pump? Screw that. Like I said before, I'm an AMSOIL sales rep. Nah, that can't be it. So, of course, I'm going to try to sell you AMSOIL, but I'm a firm believer of it. Obviously, I'm putting it in a Porsche 911. So you should consider it. There's a link in my description below. You can get 25% off or free shipping off of your orders. So look it up, take a look at what they offer, look at some of the reports, then get back to me. But be sure to use that link because that has my associate ID on it. You don't want it to go to some rando like Alex from Legit Street Cars, who's also a member. And notice it did dribble out a little bit, but I didn't stop, right? Because I think it's because of the angle of where I'm at here. Because it's not a consistent dribble, you see? So don't go stopping after your first dribble. Because this is only one. So be sure to check your fluid consumption and see what it's supposed to be. Numero tres. All right, I emptied a third quart, so now we're on quart number 4. I think we'll be reaching the limit here. Pretty sure it was like 7.8 quarts. So it's good to know that I'm getting a lot of it out. All right, get in there. All right, so you can see it's a nice even flow now coming out, and a lot of it's coming from this guy here. And that's what I thought. 8 quarts, just about. More like 7.89 or something. For the drain plug, or the fill plug. Here we go. And like I said, no crush washer. I'm not sure if that's correct, but we'll see. Okay, that's in. And this one is also 22 foot-pounds. Right there. Not very tight. It's odd. Okay. All right, then obviously I gotta clean all this up, and then we're done, man. Easy. Less than an hour.
Done. Now that the transmission fluid is complete, I'm ready to take this car out on the road, but that ain't happening right now. Don't you guys know that Porsche convertibles are allergic to water? Trust me, they are. This guy turned to rust. So, but there was one more thing that I was going to do that I changed my mind on at the last minute. I was going to do the front differential, but you saw how clean and beautiful that transmission fluid was. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the front diff fluid is also in perfect shape. There's really no reason to flush the fluids out on this side. So I'm done with the fluid change. Let's get them back on the ground. Hi, girls.
Hi, Yogi. Nice umbrella.
Nice umbrella.
I know, right? Working really well.
See how we can't go for a drive. So the other day I was lifting up the front lid and I didn't raise it up all the way. I let it go and I expected the hydraulic rams to continue to push it up. And I ducked my head underneath there and bunked myself. And that's when I realized that the hood struts are failing on the front. So that's what's going on here. I got them in today. I did not get my fuel sender, but I did get those individual hood struts, and you can see I got them for $29.85 instead of $37.31. So that's, you know, a 20-30% discount there. Not too bad. All right, and you just want to pivot that clip up, and it should come right off. See, piece of cake. All right, let's get the new ones on. All right, that clipped on pretty easily. I just had to put my screwdriver in between the metal bracket and the ball joint there, and it just popped right in, and then I didn't have to rotate it up. So let's try it on the top here. So you can see it puts pressure on it, so it won't allow it to go in. But if you push that spring up, it'll release some pressure and we can get it in. All right, that's on. I have to push the hood up a little bit. And then you just push this clip in. You heard it click. And there, that's holding it. All right, the other side is the exact same process. All right, now that both hood struts are in place, we don't need this. So take that out. Oh yeah, man, that is nice. See? Now it won't bonk me in the head, but I'll show you what it was doing. Wow, those are super strong. Okay. So it's going up. And then see how this goes up by itself? This one didn't. It went up, and then the hood struts failed, and then bumped me in the head. So that's what it should do. It should spring really quickly up. See? Like that. And there is a midpoint where it won't go up anymore, but you just got to find that. Like right there, see? So if you had a garage door open and you don't want to hit it or whatever, that's it. Cool. All right, let's get back to work. This was fun. Not. I bet you guys thought I forgot this, huh? No. I figured you knew how to do this already, so I didn't want to show you. But I'll show you anyway. Cabin air filter is right there. Engine intake filter is right there. I think I got to loosen up that one bolt and pop the snorkel off right there. And I should be able to get that out and take the filter out. Never done it before, but it shouldn't be that hard, right? I mean, I did build an engine. So this pretty much confirms my theory that I mentioned earlier. and I probably haven't dropped the video on it yet because I'm a little behind on my videos. But I mentioned this particular spot here, and on the other side is missing. And Pepper had the same problem, and it looks like people just take them out and don't put them back in because they're Phillips head, I believe, either that or T30 Torx head. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to get in and out of here if those are constantly fastened in. Another thing is this little viewport plastic cover was missing on Pepper as well. So that's another item that tends to disappear after years of use, I guess. All right, let's pop this open. I can see the thread, so let's just go ahead and get the battery cover off. All right, interstate battery, whatever. Yeah, see? And if you pull this out, yeah, the other component of it is missing, the threaded part. So if I want to restore this, I'll have to do the same thing I did on Pepper, and that's take care of that. All right, now the cabin air filter is interesting because you can see that it gets crunched, and it's pretty common. Again, another reason why to have two cars of similar model years, because then you can see, should it look like that? And I'm guessing the answer is no, but it does. And this cabin air filter is not in bad shape. Let me see. Well, there, now I broke it. Yeah, although I don't think this thing is in bad shape, I want to start at zero. I want to start at zero with this car, new filters, new oil, new transmission fluid, all of that, and then start the clock. So that's what I want to do. It's not that big of an investment. This will go in the trash, and we'll put in the new one. Let's see if I can put it in without scrunching it. I'm not optimistic. So let's see if I go this end in. See, it just wants to accordion in there. And I'm trying to avoid that. Oop, I saw some flexing, but it didn't fold. I think I'm gonna use two hands to get this in, and then I'll bring you right back. Hey, I did it. You just gotta stick your hand back there and kind of walk it in and just slowly push it down along the edge, and use the rigid edges here as well. They're made those plastic pieces that I took off the other filter, and then look at that. Good as new, man. All right, let's do the engine filter. There's only one bolt holding this air box in that I can see. Should be pretty easy to take out. All right, we're gonna go ahead and loosen this hose clamp that's on the snorkel. All right. Yeah, there we go. And I still gotta take the mass airflow sensor off, and then I'll put this on the workbench. Easy peasy. All right, now we can get a good look on the inside here and see that it's, no big deal. Looks like I got some custom engine mounts, I think, although they feel OEM, but the notes that he put on there were aftermarket, so not sure about that. All right, one of the things that I wanted to show you is this intake plenum here. I think it's a plenum. Whatever it is, this metal one, that is not OEM. And it's made by 911 Tuning, which I'm not entirely sure if they're still in business. That is a dog. All right, we're just gonna do it here. We're not gonna do it on the workbench. They're Phillips. Looks like there's 10 of them. 9 of them. 9? 9. All right. Let's try that again. Put my hand on it. Try it again. Okay, now that this is all off, it should just come out. Yeah, here we go. Looks like I've got one still attached. Always one. There we go. Yeah, see, same thing here. Not too bad. Looks like it got a little moisture in it. You can see the discoloring right there, but nothing to worry about. And I think, honestly, compressed air should do the trick to keep this going, but I'm just gonna replace it like I said, but not before I clean that. Let's do it. And there, piece of cake, man. That's the easiest job I've ever done. Nice, pretty filter going right in. Close it up. So what I found is if you put it in at a clock at a weird angle like that and then twist it in, wham bam, you're in. Look at that. All right, I'm gonna fasten it up there, put the bolt back in. We're done. Easy. Mass airflow sensor is back on. Make sure you put that boot on the sensor. All right, that's on, that's on. One more to go. Clipped back in. Check, check, check. Bolted in. Good to go. So now I need to take a look at the brake fluid, and there's really no direct way of inspecting the fluid. You usually just change it out after a certain amount of miles, but there's actually an easier way to determine whether or not your fluid may need to be changed. So a company by the name of King Bolin reached out to me and asked me if I'd be willing to try out one of their products, and this particular product is a moisture tester for brake fluid, and it is the BF2000. And its sole purpose is to check for moisture within your fluid. Typically what causes brake fluid to boil when you're racing or just driving normally is the moisture within the fluid that's causing it to boil. So what you can do is use a tool like this. It has a beautiful little screen on it, and you can test out the fluid to see if whether or not it needs to be changed out if it exceeds a certain amount of moisture. So let's go check it out on CK and Pepper and see if we fit into that category where we need to change out the fluids. Let's do it. Okay, and this says .4 here, so I'm gonna set the gauge to .4. All right, we're gonna set to .4, and we're just gonna stick the probe in there. I'm gonna turn my little light on so I can show that off as well. All right, it's quite simple. Okay. Okay, we're set to 0. Let's go ahead and put it in and see what we get. Oof, look at that. I'm in the high range with the turbo. It happened the same exact way. All right, let me get this out. Looks like I may need to leave that in. All right, I'm gonna get my tester. Okay, same thing, we're zeroed out. Okay, so I went ahead and extracted some fluid out of both cars, and I have my control right here as well, so I can get a full test here. And so this is Pepper's. It's pretty obvious. It's greenish in color. And then this is CK, and it's yellow, and then of course Bosch. So let's start with the Bosch control and see what we get. Okay, so we're average, right in the middle. That's fine. All right, let me clean that sensor off, and we'll do the next one. Okay, we're gonna start with Pepper. I put it on an angle so I can get the sensor completely submerged. And let me clean this off. There, so we're running a 0. Here we go. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, so Pepper's is in the danger zone. This car came from Florida. I haven't done any of the fluids other than oil on this thing, so transmission and brake fluid are next, so I'll have to flush that out. Now let's take a look at CK if we get a different result. Okay, we're at 0, putting it in. Jeez, same exact thing. Almost. Glare, there we go. So it does indeed look like I need to flush CK's brake fluid out as well. Okay, I wanted to take this test one step further and test test the sensor to make sure that I'm getting a good reading. So the test that I did earlier with this Bosch brake fluid, this is an opened container. It's been sitting in my cabinet for about a year, and there was quite a bit of moisture in the reading. So I wanted to compare it to one that does not have, that was not opened. And let's take a look. Yeah, so you can see that that is 2 lines, and then with the one that's in that bottle right there, you'll see that it is a lot higher. Let's test that out. All right, we're gonna try this open bottle and see what the reading we get. Yeah, and you see, look, you're looking at 2% moisture in an open container of brake fluid. So if that matters to you on race day, then you probably should get brake fluid that's unopened and swap it out. Something to learn. I didn't even know that. All right. So if you like what you see here, this tool is pretty handy. It lets you know how much moisture is in it. I'm going to put a link in the description below in my affiliate section, and you can pick this up on Amazon. I think it's like $29. Single purpose tool. But hey, if you're racing and you need to see whether or not you're going to boil your brake fluid, this is how you do it. I don't know, guys. Does this look any better with my raccoon eyes? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think how anybody could think that this right here looks better than that. So I'm glad I took these off because it's a joke. I have fully embraced the fried egg look. Okay, we're out of time. I know it was a long video, but I had a lot to show you, and I still have a lot more to show you. I ended the video in showing you that I have water in my brake fluid. I'm not 100% convinced that that's the case. So I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna get the car up in the air, and I'm gonna bleed some brake fluid from the wheel points and measure it from there. Because for all I know, I could be getting a bad reading from the top of that reservoir where moisture may accumulate. So if I can get a sample from within the system, I'll be more confident on whether or not it's worth my time and money to flush the fluids. But like I said, it's a pretty handy tool. It's giving me a baseline of what to expect when I'm measuring brake fluid, so that's always great. I hope you guys enjoyed what I showed you today. This turbo is awesome. The suspension parts alone are worth several videos, and I'm looking forward to dialing that in for the Houston streets. I'm doing all of the fluid flushes on both of these cars for a reason. Like I'd mentioned in my previous video, I want to race these cars, not so much against each other, but I want to get some trap speeds. And I purchased a draggy module there so I can get accurate 0 to 60, 0 to 100, braking, all of that. So be sure to stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Every subscription counts, especially for such a small channel like this. My affiliate links are always a big help to the channel as well. So we'll see you next time on Yogi's Garage.